Good morning and welcome to the Mini Storage Messenger Self-Storage Webinar Series. I'm Poppy Behrens, publisher at Minico, and we're happy to have you in the audience today. If you're joining us for the first time, this is one of several informative webinars planned for self-storage owners, operators, managers, investors, developers, and other industry professionals. Today's webinar is the Kiosk Advantage, Self-Storage Operators Unravel Fact from Fiction. It's sponsored by Phoenix, Arizona-based OpenTech Alliance, the leading developer of self-storage kiosks. Our presenter today is Robert Cheedy, President and CEO of OpenTech. Robert is responsible for running the company, setting corporate strategy, and continuing OpenTech's innovation and leadership in the industry. Robert has more than 17 years of management experience in the technology industry, having held senior-level positions with Computer Associates, Red Brick Systems, KPMG, and Golf Switch. This year does mark the 32nd anniversary of the Mini Storage Messenger. We also provide numerous other published materials and data sources, such as those you see on your screen. For more information about any of these, please visit ministoragemessenger.com. We'd like to invite you to submit your questions throughout today's webinar. To do so, simply type your question in the question area and click Send. We will try to answer as many of the questions as we can throughout the webinar as they come in. Any that are not answered due to time constraints will be answered privately once the webinar has concluded. Just as a reminder, the webinar is being recorded. It will be available for viewing on demand from our archives at ministoragemessenger.com. And now it is my distinct pleasure to turn the presentation over to one of my favorite people in the self-storage industry, Robert Cheedy. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning. Thank you, Poppy. There's been some discussion about in the self-storage industry. I think it's more important we talk about before we talk about kiosk, and that's actually the ages of the people that are putting pictures out in the publications. And so I'm going to have to do a quick disclaimer and say that the photo that you're seeing today is certainly about 5 years old. I've been questioned about when it was actually taken, but I won't tell anybody. So if you could see me live, you'd know there's a lot more gray hair and probably come from running a business. So
actually, Robert, you know what? That's not my current photo either, so I'll join ranks with you.
Well, you look good, Poppy. We'll keep moving. What I wanted to do today is introduce to you, and actually have them introduce themselves, a panel of self-storage operators that have been in business, I won't say a long time, because I don't want to date them either, but have lots of experience in the industry, and over the last couple of years have decided to purchase a self-service kiosk and have lots of experience related to it. We felt like a panel-style type of webinar might be great, so they could ask questions of these operators as they present what they've learned about using self-storage kiosks. So very quickly, we'd like to have each one of the panel operators introduce themselves, and we'll start with Lisa.
Well, hello, I'm Lisa Chapetta from Bar Storage in Kenosha, and we have 3 storage facilities. We've been in the business about almost 30 years now. We have I'd say we have 700 units at one location, about 600 at another, and about 400 at another. So we have some larger ones and some that are kind of smaller. And I've had a kiosk for about 5 years. And when I get into one of my panels, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But Robert and Larry had a hard time trying to get me to buy a kiosk because we were so set on customer service. And we're completely against the kiosk and thought that everything that the myths that are talking about here, that you need customer service and the kiosk is going to ruin it and everything like that, we found is absolutely not true. And they turned me around and made me believe, and I absolutely love my kiosk, and I cannot praise it enough.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Megan?
Hi, my name is Megan Campbell, and I'm with Do It Yourself Storage in Dandridge, Tennessee, the second oldest town. I have the Insomniac 900, and our facility has 145 climate-controlled mini storage units and outdoor boat and RV storage. Our facility is completely unmanned. Our kiosk runs it completely and rents every single one of our units. We found our kiosk out in Las Vegas from Larry Rolando, and as soon as we saw it, of course, with the name Megan and having the same name as me, and finding it to completely run our facility so that we're able to still do real estate full-time. It works out great for us, and we love everything about it. Our customers love it. You can look at our website and see the different testimonies, and we can get into that later on. But we
well,
love our
Megan,
kiosk.
Lisa's been politicking to have Megan's name changed to Lisa, so I don't know what we're going to make for everybody. Scott, you want to give us a little background on yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott McLaughlin. I'm a regional manager with Herman and Kittle Properties. We are based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We operate our self-storage entities under the brand name Infinite Self-Storage. Right now, our portfolio consists of 23 properties in 4 states. We operate in Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and Ohio. The portfolio is approximately 1.5 million rentable square feet and 11,500 storage units. We deploy the 900 series kiosks at all of our properties, exception of one third-party management contract, and we also use the Insomniac Live sales center at all sites in addition to the kiosks.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. And we have a second Scott.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Vale. I am the Director of Operations for KT Storage Solutions based out of New England. We have 8 self-storage properties between Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont, and we own 4 of the Insomniac kiosks, 2 of the Model 700 and 2 of the Model 900. 2 of the properties are 100% operated by our kiosk, and the second 2 properties are manned part-time by our managers. But we do utilize the kiosks to the fullest extent, and certainly look forward to sharing some of my experience with the kiosks with everybody here today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Scott. Mark, last but not least, Mark Yandow.
Good morning, all, or good afternoon. My name is Mark Yandow. I'm an owner-operator of 2 storage facilities, and interesting enough, I actually run kiosks through my apartment complexes. We also do property management within California. We have in our own portfolio 1 900, 4 700s, 1 300, and in terms of consulting, we've implemented kiosk in multiple facilities linked into the call centers, and we've got unmanned operations, manned operations, and all the above. But I don't see how I actually run a business without them. Thanks,
Mark,
Robert.
All right, thank you very much. I want to do a couple of quick things, just give a quick overview on the kiosk basics. I want to make sure people understood the pricing, that the functionality includes renting units, processing payments, interfacing in real time to the management software that's used to operate your property. A kiosk does not work without management software. It requires that kind of interface. We accept cash, checks, and credit cards, depending upon the model. Each one of them comes with a service called Live Megan, which is where for 16 hours a day, the first thing the customer sees when they push the button on the screen is they're prompted to see if they want to talk to a live person. If they do, they get directly connected voice over IP to our call center, and our call center remotely controls the kiosk and will walk them through whichever transaction they're looking to accomplish. It has a back-end reporting system for complete administration, and all transactions are actually digitally recorded and audio recorded, so that they're replayable by the manager, and that's what we call iReplay. Quick rundown on some of the transactions that we did last year, so you can get a feel for the usage of a kiosk in the industry. 19,000 units were rented, and we expect to have a lot more this year based upon having a live person be able to help the consumer while they're at the kiosk. That is the Live Megan service. So I want to make sure we put these in there so later on you guys could have these numbers. So let's kick right into the first kiosk myth that we have. These are generated basically by information I've collected and our team has collected over the years of talking to self-storage operators, as well as listening and learning on self-storage talk and other forums in the industry to hear what managers and owners are concerned about or what they think about kiosks. The first myth, I'd like to see if Scott McLaughlin and Mark Yandow would kind of share some of their insights related to it. Scott, you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. I'd be glad to, Robert. Thank you. Basically, the theory that you install a kiosk that renters will come is simply not true. When we initially rolled our kiosks out, we did, find in some cases by the hard way that it takes more than just the machine to generate the rentals. And so some keys to success within our portfolio that we figured out is to make the kiosk front and center in all ad campaigns. And to do that, you really want to advertise that you're available for conducting business 24/7, 365. You do need to have a strong online presence to drive traffic to the site. You know, be it online or Yellow Pages or whatever works best for your particular property or properties. You want to make sure that the kiosk is highlighted on all of your media campaigns. At the site level, something else that we found works really well is that in the glass hanging where you can see it drive-by traffic-wise, we post neon open signs. They're always on, and they're open. They're on whether or not the property is actually open or whether or not there's even a manager in at the property. We try to install our kiosks in highly visible areas so that whenever possible you can make them visible to drive-by traffic. One thing that I think is important to note, depending on where you're at in the country, you always want to remember the weather element. You know, the weather factor can play a role in how much kiosk usage, you know, for example, being where we're at in the Midwest, we do have to protect our kiosks. If they're not indoors, we have to put some type of shelter up so that our customers are still comfortable while using them. One other thing that's important is, you know, manager support is vital. You really have to get your folks on board with looking at the kiosk as an enhancement to the site, and they have to be diligent about conducting tutorials for the current customers. Another important thing here is the pushback that we saw the most of was from our current customer base, not our new customers. So the current customers are the ones that require the hand-holding to become comfortable with the machine, and if your manager is doing a good job of that with every payment they take, the machine quickly becomes accepted both with new and existing customers.
Excellent. Mark, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Boy, he just like wrote a book, didn't he?
Apologize.
Oh, that's okay. No, there's actually, that's fantastic. That's
It's over now. We can all leave.
I was going to cover some points, but there's a couple things specifically that I make sure to do. Scott mentioned internet presence. Google Places, that's a place you can make sure you go into and make sure you're reflecting 24/7 service to rent units and pay out. And then something very simple that we found that originally we didn't do was making sure we send a letter to our customers to inform them of all the improvements we've made to the facility and that they were available to go 24 hours a day at the kiosk and in conjunction. And we run call centers and together, and it's the two of them. We just have to tell our customer base about that. And in California here, where it's always sunny, not just protected from the elements, but being very aware that if your kiosk is facing east in the morning, there's an issue. If it's facing west at night, there's an issue. And making sure you have it so you can see the computer screen at the end of the day, so there is no adoption issues. But I think we're going to talk about adoption issues a little bit down the line. So those are the 2 points that I thought that Scott left for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned managers, so let's move on to the next myth. See if we can get Lisa to help us explain her thoughts on if you need a manager at the facility related to a kiosk or not.
Many people out there are actually using a manager with a kiosk. I'm sorry, am I getting feedback on your end?
Yes.
Okay. Here, hold on.
Okay, is that better?
Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so a lot of facilities are actually running their facilities with just a kiosk and no manager whatsoever. It's great, they can do that. Some areas are allowed to do that, like they are not demanding customer service. However, like I had said in the beginning, when we had first bought our kiosk, we didn't want it because we thought it would be taken away from customer service and everybody wanted the touchy-feely of a real person there and not a machine. Well, since then, things have evolved, and you go to the grocery store now, and they are actually kind of requiring you to do your self-checkout because to save money. With the kiosk, it's excellent because you can have your manager there, and what happens when you have two people renting a unit, another person comes in to pay. You have the kiosk right there. They can go and do it on their own and get fast service. What happens if your manager's outside showing someone else a unit or picking up something or checking on an empty unit? They can walk right up to the kiosk and have instant service and not get all upset because they have to wait for 5 minutes where they're huffing and puffing waiting for you to come back and get all upset. It's great to have because your manager isn't going to be there 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that was one of the biggest things is that we used to be open on Sundays, pay our employees double time to come in on a Sunday to get those couple renters that usually seem to be like deadbeats because they didn't want to come in. Well, now with a kiosk, you can change it to convenience, where customers can come in and rent at their own convenience. So that way, you're still having someone there 24 hours a day, and you're getting those extra rentals.
Lisa, let me understand.
Yep.
Lisa, you have a manager at your properties, correct?
We have a manager at all 3 of our locations. We're open from 8:30 to 5:30. But when I'm in the office, we have customers that will walk up right to the kiosk and not even come in the office. And you can see them walking right by the door, and they'll wave to us and smile, and they go right to the kiosk. They have taken away that they chose to go to the kiosk instead of come in front of us and do it for them. They want that freedom to do it on their own. And you know, nowadays is a age of generation. Everybody wants new technology, and they love it. Even like the older people are enjoying the technology. So you can have a kiosk, you can have a manager, but this is helping with the manager to do some other jobs and also to provide customer service for those that want it, and also the technology and convenience for those that don't and that want to come in after hours or do other things.
Excellent.
Hey, Robert, can I add a comment on that?
Sure.
Mark.
You're up for the next myth as well. So.
Okay. But one of the things that we have done is we've redefined the role of the manager to more of a, if you will, I changed the business process, so I'm not using them for non-touch labor. We've actually hit 70% of our rental collection in a couple of our facilities right now come through either the kiosk or website or the call center. And I still have the folks on payroll fewer hours, but I've got them out going out doing active marketing. I've got them away from their desk. I've got them out in the business community. And, you know, at a minimum, they're doing a Walmart, like a Walmart greeter when you walk in, even on the hybrid facilities where we've got, they walk up, say, hi, I'm so-and-so, here's our facility, here's how you rent, here's how you pay, and just a smile, and then just redeploy them and doing other, you know, job functions.
Excellent. Well, what do you think about them adopting that new processes, Mark? Did they do it on their own, as this next myth was kind of highlighting?
Well, no. I mean, the manager engagement is critical. In general, what we're finding that managers are going to be afraid that they're going to be replaced. And so one of the things we have done a little bit different. We've changed a lot of the business processes when we put the technology in. As an example, we no longer take cash in an office if we have a kiosk on site. And I compensate managers for adoption. You know, for example, I'll set a dollar limit that said, or a dollar target. So, you know what, we need to see if you get $7,000 a month through this kiosk, you're going to get a bonus. If you get $9,000 a month through the kiosk, you're going to get a little bit of a higher bonus. And we also we try not to write leases within the office. That's not feasible in Texas because of the weather patterns. But at our facility in California, I've got 98% of my leases coming through the kiosk, and I pay the manager a couple bucks to have the lease to go through there, because I want them to adopt the technology and embrace it, not fight it, and then I can redeploy them to do other tasks other than just collect the payment, which as an owner is critical. But I'd rather have them out marketing, and it kind of explains my facility in Tehachapi. We're at 97% occupancy in a market that's low 80s. In Austin, Texas, I'm at 97% on a Class C facility next door to Public Storage, a Big Bob's and Uncle Space, and it's just the managers are out aggressively seeking business, they're not order takers. So you change some processes, you change them, you align their goals, their compensation on what you want to do as a business owner, and it seems to work much better.
Excellent. You had mentioned people using the system in your California properties. I think it's one of the myths that we've heard about is that the kiosk and customer service, and how it may or may not compromise customer service. And maybe we could have Scott Baio and then maybe Lisa kind of chime in on what you think about that myth.
Absolutely. You know, you don't have to sacrifice customer service with a kiosk. And a couple of my fellow panelists here have mentioned, how they have managers doing other things, and I'll just kind of specifically point to one specific scenario that we utilize. We have one of our properties that employs a 700 model kiosk, and there's no manager there at all. However, we utilize the tools that OpenTech provides us to actually facilitate the customer service end of the business, even though we can't be there on site. OpenTech Alliance provides you tools where you can actually remote into your kiosk and watch the screen as the customer is proceeding through the rental. You also have the ability to have a video camera on your kiosk so you can actually see the person themselves while they're standing there conducting their transaction. And then additionally, the kiosk also has an intercom call box, if you will, and our particular models are set up so our managers can actually call the intercom and it will automatically answer. So, you think of like a big box retailer these days. Somebody mentioned Walmart, like a meet and greet. We do that same thing even though we're not there. We're actually able to call the kiosk, introduce ourselves, converse with the customer, and actually watch what they're doing and see them on our screens all at the same time. And we can help guide them right through the rental or payment process very, very easily. And it helps, make the customer feel more at ease by having somebody there either watching them or talking them through it. So you absolutely do not have to compromise the customer service piece whatsoever. Lisa, any other thoughts?
Well, actually, going on that note, yesterday I was in the office and a previous renter came in and he had seen the kiosk and he's like, well, what is that? As we're doing his paperwork at the counter and stuff like that. And we told him it's a kiosk. You can go use it whenever you want. You can make payments. If you get locked out of the gate, you can't get in. You can go up the kiosk. You can modify your account. There's so many different things. And you should saw this guy's face. He was just like, wow, that is so neat. And I think it was about the convenience sake for him that he just loved. And it goes back to the technology. People love the new gadgets that you give them. We had an elderly lady walk up the other day, and we sat there and walked her through it, and she says, this is so much fun. I mean, who would ever thought renting a storage unit would be actually fun? So there are so many positives of why to have a kiosk versus not having one. And for me, one of my biggest ones is that knowing that I don't have to worry about a customer not being able to get in the gate, because they can go right to the kiosk, and if they can't access it, they jump onto the live help, and they can get into the gate instead of calling me at 11 o'clock at night saying I can't get in and all frustrated. The other great thing is we hear a lot of people, because we're in between Milwaukee and Chicago, and they can't get to our office by 5:30 to rent a unit. So for them to have the convenience of coming in to rent a unit after hours is huge. One way to look at it is, if I'm correct, I could be absolutely wrong, but I thought that the normal average customer is worth about $1,500. So if that is true, if you rented 18 units out of that kiosk, that would well overpay for the most expensive kiosk, and the rest of it is just a money-making machine for you. Because we've had people that have come into our office, because our competitors open at 10, come in and rent a unit with us because they're not answering the phone and they're not there to rent them a unit. So even if I wasn't there, I would have still got that customer with a kiosk. So people look at it as an expense. I look at it as an investment on all the extra money that I'm making every single day that I rent a unit that somebody else didn't do it, or because they come when I'm not there.
That's an interesting point, Lisa. It actually brings us to the next myth. When your office is closed, there has been this discussion about, and I believe that there's certain cases it is this case, but the customers will just come back when you're open. They won't look for other properties. They'll certainly come back to your property. Scott Baio, do you have any comments on that?
Absolutely, Robert. In this day and age where there's so much competition right around the corner, somebody might be open at some point. I'm right down the street in a couple of locations from some of the big players like Extra Space, Uncle Bob's. They have the ability to, open earlier, stay open later. Some are open on holidays, some are open on Sundays. And as a smaller operator, I'm not always able to meet those types of customer demands. And by having a kiosk, I'm able to kind of combat that strategy from some of the bigger players that live right down the street from me. And I don't think it's absolutely right that a customer would come back in the morning. I think customers are shopping. We have a lot of folks that walk in the door and need storage like they did yesterday, and they need it right away. And having that kiosk as an option for them is definitely a positive thing. And we have a lot of customers that give us a call early in the week, and they're saying, hey, we're moving on Friday night, we're moving on Sunday, I got to be out of my apartment, my house is closing, and our hours might not actually meet up with what else they have going on in their lives between work and kids and what they're trying to do with their moving process. We're actually able to direct them to an online demonstration. Our website is linked right up with Open Tech Alliance's website, and we have an online demo. So we actually tell our customers, visit our website, take a peek at the online demo that we have so you're prepared to, know what to expect when you walk up to the kiosk. We'll give them a little bit of a heads up as to how the process works. And then, lo and behold, I walk in the next morning and I see 9 o'clock last night, somebody actually rented a storage room and moved their items in because it was convenient for them. So I think it is definitely always something in the back of our minds that, we know that we're able to compete with some of the bigger players because we can offer our customers this awesome option by having a kiosk at our locations.
That's good. That leads us right next to the next myth, and that is that as we become more successful as a company, and recently had a big purchase from used storage, or actually now CubeSmart, people have come to us and said that these kiosks are only good for big guys. And I think they meant large operators, meaning large portfolio operators. I didn't know, Lisa, if you or Scott had any, either one of Scott had any thoughts on that, if it's only for big guys or not.
Robert, I can just add some quick metrics here that I think address part of this myth. As far as a smaller, in this case on the slide, a smaller facility, we have properties that range in size from 300 units to in excess of 1,000 units. And some metrics that apply across the board to our portfolio is that 45 to 50% of our sales happen at the kiosk. And we have strong year-over-year same-store net gains in occupancy. For example, this year we're at a net 400 units from the same time last year. The bottom line is that all of our stores, regardless of size, benefit from having these kiosks located at the property.
Okay.
Hey, Robert, this is Mark.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Just, specific facilities, the facilities that I own are, one's 28,000 square feet, so it's small, 275 units. We took head count from there from 1.5 to 1, took on Penske truck rentals, and we provide superior customer service. The Modesto and Series ones that we went live on in June and July of this year were 30,000 square feet apiece. We took payroll from 3 people to 1. Our facility in Texas, we had to when we started, but they were open 7 days a week. We've now shut the facility 2 days a week and shortened their hours to 8 hours a day. Carmel was one manager working 6 days a week, 56 hours a week. That's been limited to 15%, down to 15 hours a week. And that facility has gone from 72% when we closed escrow in December to 98% in July. So these are all small facilities. I don't have the bandwidth to buy. I don't have the money to go buy a 1,000 unit facility. So these are what we're buying, and again, they make it seamless, and we outcompete. We provide much better customer service because we are 24/7, and we're not seeing any adoption issues with the customer base. It's just with the management side.
That brings us to another point that we've heard, and these are going to be getting more about the operational issues related to your facility when you have a kiosk. And one of the things we've heard people talk about, or their concern was that they have to leave provide everybody 24-hour access to the facility. Mark, how do you handle that at your properties?
It's different based on the owner of the property. If it's the ones that we own, we don't provide 24-hour access to the facility. We shut the gates at 9 or 10 p.m. But we've got a couple others that we are allowing. It's a business decision by the owner-operator whether you want somebody on site at that time of night.
So technically you have your kiosk set up so that they provide a code that it meets your access rules. It has nothing to do with the kiosk. It's the same access rules you would set up standardly?
That's correct, Robert.
The next myth we had was when you do rent a unit, people were concerned they had to leave every one of their empty units open. And I thought maybe, Lisa, you might be able to help us understand how you do it, how you actually if you leave all your empty units open and what you do.
Well, actually, that was one of our main concerns of when we got a kiosk is that, well, how are these people going to get in after hours to rent a unit if all our units are locked? And we've, for years, have locked our units because we always thought people were going to dump things in there or we're going to have incidents. So we just decided, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and unlock all the units and just yellow tag them so that way the customers can get into them, because someone may rent a unit, like a 10 by 10, and they have the wrong size and they have to go look at a 10 by 15 or something like that. So I wanted them to get the correct size. So I'm not worried about the garbage. I have maintenance people come pick up the garbage, and ever since we've had our kiosk, I haven't had anybody dump one single thing in a unit. We've always had people leave a couple of items outside of a unit, but they've never gone into a unit. So leaving the units unlocked have proved not to be an issue whatsoever. And there's a couple other things that you can do. Like I said, people put on the yellow little tags. There's all different colors you can choose. But there's another thing you can put on a combination lock on the empty unit. And then when you rent that unit, the kiosk will display a combination for the unit for the renter at the time, so that way they can go in and manually take off that lock, so that way all your units are still locked. And then there's another option that you can have the electronic locks as well. So like for us, I said, we live in this area. We have tons of people coming in and out. It's never been an issue. You can try it that way, and if it turns out that is a major issue for you, then go ahead and put on the combination locks or the electric locks.
Do any of the managers, or any of your operators, have your managers limit the units that are shown on the kiosk to a specific amount so that you limit how many units you have to actually leave unlocked?
Yes, that is right. The kiosk can also do that, but we also do that through our accounting program, because when somebody moves out, it moves it and it makes it empty in the kiosk immediately. And until our maintenance man comes out and cleans it, we don't want it on there. So as soon as we do a move out of a customer, we make it unavailable. But the kiosk does the same thing, so you can allow only one unit to be shown per side. So there's many different ways that you can go around it. So thank you for reminding about that one, Robert.
Lisa, you mentioned that you hadn't had any more people leaving trash and those kind of things like that. Did you have that before? I mean, is that I have that concern in my head that I always heard that people leave trash at facilities. Is that something happened in a lot of our places, or Mark, did that happen to you guys?
It did.
Okay. All right. Well, then one of the other myths we've heard is that kiosks never break down, and while we wish we were the Maytag repair people here at OpenTech, we're not. Scott, maybe you can share with us a little bit about what you've learned about that myth.
Certainly, Robert. I'm not sure if I got picked for this slide because my kiosks have broken down, or if I volunteered for it. I don't recall which. But it is absolutely true. Computers do break, and unfortunately, kiosks do break. I can tell you that I have replaced bill acceptors, credit card readers, check readers. I've replaced the touch screens on the kiosk. I've done a little bit of everything, but I got to tell you, I wouldn't have been able to do it with the help of OpenTech Alliance. I'm on pretty much a first-name basis with several of the folks that work in on their tech support team, and they're always a phone call away. They take the time to troubleshoot the problem with me, and if unfortunately we find that we are having a malfunction of a piece of the equipment, they're able to actually order that equipment and get it out to me via UPS or FedEx in a very quick fashion. I get that equipment and I go to my property. I get on the phone with the tech support person that I'm working with, and they guide me right through actually how to replace that component. Always very, very easy. Nothing's very complicated. But I say that, and I'm a little bit of a techie guy myself. But it can be a little bit scary, but these guys are there to walk you through it. Like I mentioned, I'm on a first-name basis with a gentleman by the name of Jason Bradley at OpenTech. He knows me extremely, extremely well. He recognizes my voice, and he can guide me through pretty much anything. And, sometimes you open these kiosks up and you see a bunch of wires and you see a bunch of components. It all starts to make sense when they walk through it. Some of it's even color-coded, so they're able to actually easily walk you through things. Everything's labeled. So I can't say that it never breaks down, but I can say that if it does break down, we always get it back up and running in short order to continue to meet the demand of our customers.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Hey, Robert, let me just expand on that one touch. This is Mark. It sounds like Scott's fairly technical. I've never touched a component on the kiosk because my managers have replaced the components that were necessary. And my manager in Texas, to give you an idea of her level of technology, she didn't realize that email address would work on more than one computer. Everyone at OpenTech that helps have all the Jasons, because it seems like all you hire are people named Jason, know her. Her name is Sandy. They awarded her a little special toolkit, but she doesn't, she walked in and they said, stick your hand out, shoulder length, grab that component, pull it out. And so it's been successful to do that.
Well, good, good. Well, I think that one of the things we strive to make when we build our products is make them self-service as well, in the sense that everything's designed so it's very easy to plug and play the components. So glad to hear that. Megan, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Well, we've heard people concerned about people breaking into kiosks and taking all the cash out. Have you got any experiences with that?
Well, I haven't had any experience as far as vandalism at my facility in the 3 years that I've had it. I would say that all of my customers feel very safe when renting through the kiosk as far as all the features with the scanning of the fingerprint and getting a copy of the driver's license and the photo that it takes, because I have the 900 model. We also have security cameras outside of our facility, signs posted about video surveillance, cameras inside of our facility. Our kiosk, of course, is mounted inside or right there in the front of the building, and then the only way you could get access to it is through an actual unit. So there's really no way to get to the kiosk for anyone to get money, and if they ever got into the unit, you'd have to have a key. So we have never in 3 years had any vandalism at our storage facility.
Excellent. Does any of the other operators have any experience with vandalism?
Robert, I'll get it just to add a little bit of scale. With our 23 properties and these kiosks in what I could refer to as maybe some rougher demographics, we've never had an issue in the close to 3 years that we've had the kiosk deployed. It's not been an issue at any of our stores.
Yeah, we hear this a lot of times from even architects, that they're concerned that someone's going to take the cash out of the machine, and I guess that sometimes we wish the machines were that attractive and fancy that people would feel like they want to come over and play with them. What we found is that most people are pretty aware that ATMs have thousands and thousands of dollars in them, and self-service kiosks like this, don't even know if there's any cash in it at all. So I'm glad to hear those experiences that you've had. One of the things that we've heard from customers as the market turned a couple of years ago was that they were worried that they were offering promotions to their customers either through their email or through their website or different coupon programs, and they were concerned that they actually couldn't do those at the kiosk. Megan, do you have some experience in using those?
Oh, yes. We've definitely been able to do that with our kiosk. We actually have one right now. We're running a promotion of 50% off of your first month's rent. We're offering that to any new customer, so whenever they go to the kiosk, we don't have to have them have anything with them. When they go to the kiosk to rent a unit, it automatically gives them the special when they go to rent the unit. So we love that it's able to offer the promotion when they get there to do their rental.
Excellent. One of the myths we don't have listed here, and I thought maybe Scott McLaughlin you could speak to, and that's actually completing reservations at the kiosk, because we've also had people concerned that they're using, somebody calls in either their own call center or their internal call center, or online makes a reservation at the kiosk, online makes a reservation, and they were concerned they couldn't actually fulfill those at a kiosk. And I know you guys have been working with that.
We have actually, and it's been a blessing for our particular management model. Within our company, we operate most of our properties where each manager operates multiple locations. So we don't always have somebody at the property during normal business hours. And so we've had quite a bit of success with all of the ancillary directories that are out there online, as well as our primary website, and even going forward looking at online leasing. The ability to capture that sale at any time of day or night, or the reservation, and then not have to worry about the customer wanting to complete that reservation, say, on a Sunday afternoon. We don't have to worry about that being a problem. They go to the kiosk, they complete their reservation, the lock drops, they sign their lease, and they get their unit when they need it.
Excellent. What software are you using, party management system software are you using for that?
We go through SiteLink.
Okay, is that the PC version or the web version?
Web version, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So we've also had some concerns about when someone rents to a kiosk, what kind of documentation is available for them after that. And Megan, you operated your facility for several years with a kiosk. Can you explain to us about how you get leases and that kind of stuff, if you get copies of them?
Yes, in the Insomniac control panel, you have access to, after a customer rents, you can go in and pull up reports, a copy of the lease, receipts. You're able to print out copies of those. One of the best features that I like are the eye replays. After a customer rents a unit, you can actually go and watch it's the eye replay, and watch a video of the entire process of them renting a unit. And I find that very valuable because that's where we get a lot of feedback of what they actually feel about using the kiosk, and if there happens to be anything wrong with the kiosk at that time, or something that they don't like. I really love that feature because that's where we get a lot of our feedback that someone may not want to tell you, but you actually get to hear it because they're on video. So I like the eye replay a lot.
Excellent. Another one of the common myths we hear, actually it's not a myth in this case, is we call it a manager concern, is that our system, when you pay in cash, doesn't give any change. Scott McLaughlin, have you had any experience with that being a problem?
We've not had any problems, actually, Robert. The concern is correct, but if you have employees at your site, keep in mind that if your manager is doing a good job of showing existing customers how the machine works, how to make a payment through the kiosk, and reminding them that the kiosk does not give change, when they come to make subsequent payments, they know what their rent is. They bring exact change if they're not paying by credit card or by check. Another thing that works for us is to clearly mark the kiosk that no change is given. So if somebody pulls up to make their rent payment and they've got a $100 bill, they'll go break that bill before they put their $65 in rent in the kiosk. If they do happen to stick additional money in the kiosk beyond what is owed, it's simply credited to their account. So it's not an issue for the customer to not receive credit of some sort for that payment that they make. And the reality here, at least within our portfolio, to give again some scale here, in 2010 our kiosk captured over 16,000 transactions between new leases and existing customer payments, and we didn't even have a problem with, it would be no more than 1% of those transactions where somebody, paid more than what was owed with cash and had an issue with not getting change back. So it's just simply not a problem for us.
Okay. We had another manager concern, and this one sounds pretty valid as well, but customers rent a unit at the kiosk and they get there and they find out they need a business. Megan, I think you actually said you have an unmanned facility. How do you handle that?
This has been something that's happened, I would say, probably 4 or 5 times throughout the last 3 years, and it usually winds up being that they've rented a unit that has been too small, and I pretty much always have access to a computer, or I have an iPhone, so I usually, if they'll call me or they call into Live Megan, I'm hoping that eventually either Live Megan or the kiosk will have a feature that they can transfer on their own. But right now they'll usually call me and tell me they've rented a unit that's too small. I'll either just log into Web Self-Storage, which is a software that I use on my phone, find a unit that's bigger, tell them to go ahead and transfer it, and then I log, or since I'm in Web Self-Storage, I just transfer them from the unit they just rented to the bigger unit on my phone or computer, and whatever charges, it just figures out the difference. And most of the time, my people pay by credit card, so I just charge the balance to their card, and they're completely fine with everything, and email them a new receipt and copy of the new lease. So it hasn't been a problem, but I have had a few times where they rent a unit that's too small.
Well, I knew getting 5 self-storage operators together that all use our products, at some point we'd have a new couple features that I have to write down the list. So I'm taking some notes on transferring units to see if we can learn how to do that through a kiosk, so that way we won't have to have any manual intervention for that issue. That actually concludes some of the prepared myths and concerns we had. And what I wanted to do now was open it up to Poppy to see if she can collect some of the questions that have been provided to us during the presentation and address that to our panel and see if they can provide some of their experiences and answers they may have. Turn it over to you, Poppy.
Okay, great. Right now, I don't have any questions that have come in, so for those of you that are attending today, now would be the time to send those questions over to us.
Was there anything that, while we're waiting for that, was there anything that, Mark, I know you've had a lot of experience in different types of self-storage facilities, doing a lot of re-engineering of different processes. Was there anything else you'd want to share along the lines that you think?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure.
Could you, I saw you, I haven't started using the coupons that you've recently announced. Could you kind of tell us about those?
Sure. It's interfaces with the Silent Web product, or any product that actually promotes and supports promotions through our self-service kiosk, which is a majority of the property managed systems. You can provide coupon code to your audience or to your customers through your website or wherever else you want to. And then when they come to the kiosk, much like you would do when you make a transaction on the internet and it has a promotional box where you can put in a coupon code, there's a coupon code box on the kiosk screen. The consumer can type in that coupon code, and the system will then recalculate what the actual fees are going to be based upon the promotion that's associated with that coupon. Of course, that promotion needs to be set up in the property managed systems. That's where we get all of our information. And so you can basically distribute different types of promotions in what I call somewhat secret fashion sometimes, so you don't have to tell the world that you're giving away a certain thing or you have a certain promotion. You can do it through whatever specific business channel you wish, such as you may want to give someone at a local business down the street an opportunity to hand out some type of coupons with a specific coupon code that's tied to a promotion with them, or you want to do it for your community or church. Different types of programs should go to different types of channels, and this gives you a way to have those coupons used at a kiosk next time.
Oh, that's exciting.
Shame on us for not having all of our customers aware of how to use the systems. The reservation system stuff that Scott was talking about is also new. And basically what it is, we're finding lots of people that are either doing reservations online or even calling. Since we own a call center, we understand that now that we take a lot of reservations over the phone, they provide us all their information. We actually select the type of unit they want, and during that reservation is taken out of inventory. In some cases, there's even a reservation deposit that's collected. And when the consumer then gets that reservation typically emailed to them, they have they can take that reservation number, which is usually their phone number, come to the kiosk, type it in, and all that data there has already been pre-populated. All they have to do is follow through with the providing the payment method, their photo, fingerprint, those kind of things. So all the security information is collected at the kiosk, as well as signing the lease, and then they can complete that transaction. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch. We allow you to, because a lot of people like to rent online are probably doing it for their convenience and when they want to. So they're the same kind of people that might want to come when your facility isn't normally open.
Okay, I have some questions that have come in. First one is, I would like to hear more about the answering service and how it works with the kiosk.
Okay. Basically, actually, Mark, would you want to address that, or do you want me to?
No, I mean, the help button is fantastic, and being in California, in Central California, one of the things that's important to us is that Megan is bilingual.
Yeah, because basically what happens is as consumers come to the kiosk, they're prompted to see if they want to talk to a live. When they select that they want to do that, it have a communication right back to our call center. Our call center storage counselors are all trained and have full information on each property, which we've collected in advance. They're presented with the information about that property and the consumer standing at the kiosk. They're also presented with the ability to control the screen on the kiosk, so they can help a customer and walk them through the entire process, remotely controlling the screen, typing in data if they need be for the customer. So they basically, it's like having a live person standing right there with them. In the future, we've been demonstrating for the last year two-way video, and in the first quarter of 2012, we plan on rolling it out, where not only will you get a chance to communicate and talk to someone while you're standing in the kiosk, is you will see them on live streaming video, and they will see you. And so we can bring more personal touch to the experience we're planning on doing.
Okay, the next question we have is, how do you determine which size kiosk your facility needs?
Well, you guys have all gone through that process. Does anybody want to share how they did it?
Robert, I'll jump in. This is Scott McLaughlin. We chose the large model, the Kiosk 900, simply for the functionality. It offers a robust line of things that can be done right there at the kiosk. And because our management model doesn't necessarily have someone at the site during normal business hours, that has worked best for us to have a full-service kiosk versus a scaled-down version that has less functionality.
Mark, you've got a array of kiosks, I believe, different types, don't you?
Yes, we do. And we started with the 900 series, and we're now going to the 700 series. And they just work fine. We only sell one type of lock. We standardize many things, and the 700s get such a good look and feel. That's what that's our new current business model. And in the apartment side, I mean, I'm probably one of the only people running a kiosk in an apartment complex. The only thing we have a 300 series there strictly for payments because I'm obviously not going to write leases at a kiosk to renters.
Our customers also tell us that if they have the ability to put a kiosk through the wall, make it secure in that fashion, they prefer that. In a lot of cases, they don't have that capability at their building, so then they start to go to what our freestanding models is. So sometimes the selection is based upon your actual physical location of where you're going to put the kiosk, and then sometimes it's based upon how much support you have there at the property related to a human or a manager on a regular basis. So if you have someone that's there on a regular basis, they have a tendency to maybe take a kiosk that has a little less functionality, a little less expensive, and then they kind of rely on the manager there to handle some of the issues that like an Insomniac 100 per se only takes credit card payments, and it'll take ACH payments using check as well, but it doesn't take cash, and it doesn't print out any documentation. It emails it all to them. So that depends upon how much support, back-end support you have at the facility. Sometimes depends upon which one of the models you want to use.
Okay, another question. Does the kiosk dispense locks, and how does it manage the inventory?
I'll go ahead and take that one. Our kiosks dispense locks, yes, they do. Some of the one model, the Insomniac 100, doesn't. Each one of the models may vary in how many lock trays you have. When we first built the product, Insomniac 900, we had 4 lock trays in it because we had space for 4, and we weren't quite sure if people were had hybrid latches. If some had cylinders and some had disc locks in their property, they would need 2 different types of locks to dispense. Or if they wanted to offer a variety of retail, being a high-end lock and a low-end lock. So we had those. As we continued to compress the machines and try to bring down the price, we went to the Insomniac 800, which has 2 lock trays, and then the rest of the models that have lock dispensing have 1 lock tray. Basically, each one of those provides locks, but the locking mechanism, once you sell a lock, it's recorded in the system. And as you run out of locks, then it will not present a lock to be shown until someone physically loads more locks and presses what we call a locks reload button, which tells the system that it has now a full complement of locks. So it keeps track of the inventory. It won't present the fact that you can buy a lock. Won't let a consumer buy a lock if there's no lock available. But it still takes a human to go load the locks, as well as take out the money.
Another question is, what are the software limitations regarding compatibility with existing storage software programs?
Well, the best way to answer that one is directable to the Open Tech Alliance website, and under our Alliance Partner section, we have a very comprehensive list of the different functions and features each one of the software products have supported related to our kiosk. And so that will give them a good feel for which ones support promotions, which ones support fulfillment of reservations. We work real hard with each one of those vendors to get into their development cycles so that we can have them continue to provide the enhancements and the features that we're building in our system. And so they do the best they can as far as bringing in those new features as fast as possible. But you can see all that on our website and get the full details there.
Okay, let's see. The next question is, Robert, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe some clarification. Is the kiosk open air or in a customer vestibule with a door? Please ask the panel to describe their installations at their stores.
Perfect.
I'll take this one. It's Lisa. I'm up in Wisconsin, so it gets very cold out here in winter, and obviously hot in summer. But when we had our building and decided where to put it, we had a glass walkway, so we put that in there, and it's probably about 6 feet by 20 feet long, I'd say. And it's all glass windows, so that way you can see for security, so that way you don't have to really worry too much about the people breaking in and stealing their money. And we do have the cameras. But there's many different ways that you can do it, because we were trying to figure out, well, did we want to put it in on one of our masonry walls and cut a hole so that way we can access it? But I think for us, because of the weather, and like someone said in Texas, that might be a better idea to put something enclosed. And we also have a ceiling fan in there that also has heat and air conditioning. So that way if it's too hot in summer, we have the fan blowing air conditioning through it, and in winter we leave it on so that way it's a little warmer for our customers.
Well, maybe to expand on that thought, in the Texas facility my facility sets back off of Main Street 200 feet. I went down to Home Depot, bought a 10 by 10 building, and just dropped it in up on the street, so it's very visible. We have kiosk in wall, and I forgot about the pedestal kiosk I had, Robert. That's the same. I mean, we have one of those on the center canvas cover, but we're kind of lucky that we live in California, where on a hot day it's 75 and a cold day it's 65. We don't have the weather constraints. The only constraint we have is sun.
Well, I don't know about that part about you're lucky living in California. The rest of us that don't, we feel pretty lucky too.
I know. I realize that.
Hey,
Next question. Does anyone monitor the kiosk if it goes offline when I am not at the site?
Well, I actually get calls we do have internet interruptions. I get calls from one of the many Jasons on the OpenText staff. They know it's down before I know it's down.
Okay,
Besides
another
the calls,
question.
I also get emails. I'm sorry.
Okay, great.
I have mine
What
set
would
up
you
for texting too.
Anyone
I'm
else?
sorry, Megan?
I said I have mine set up. I've got log me in, so I have it set up for whenever ours goes offline, we get a text message and an email to both myself and my fiance if it goes offline.
Okay,
So
great. Next question. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to ask her, so which one of them is responsible for dealing with the kiosk, her and her fiance?
John. He usually goes and deals with the kiosk.
Okay, next question for sure this time. What would you consider a minimum number of units? 50, 100, 150? I don't have large 300 units per site.
Who's got the smallest facility amongst the operators there? Less one unit. I think is it you, Megan?
Say the question again?
How many units do you have at your property?
I have 145.
Okay. We have customers that are around, I think it's 97, 96 units that use a self-service kiosk, and they go up to customers that have 2,800 units. And I think the best way to answer that question is it's typically related to what your costs are to manage the property. You have to be there or have somebody hired to be there all the time to rent out 98 units, then certainly automating that process may bring you some value. If you miss rentals because you have a sign up on the wall that says, call me and I'm a real estate agent, and if I can get there, we'll go rent a unit, then you have an opportunity loss that you might want to compare to what it costs to put a kiosk in. So I don't think there's a rule of thumb.
Okay, we do have someone that missed the part about vacant units with no locks, as they had a customer come in, and they want to know how you tag them when you have cylinder locks. How do you tag them when you have cylinder locks and a problem with people leaving things inside empty, unlocked units?
Well, Lisa, cylinder locks would be no different than any other lock type, right? You would basically not have a lock on the unit, and you'd have what Lisa describes as a tag. Maybe you can tell them more about what those tags look like, Lisa.
It's just like a little yellow tag, and at the top of it is a little tiny wire that goes into the latch hole, and it connects onto that. So you can buy them through Chateau, probably Kmart, a bunch of other places like that. They're very inexpensive. But if you have a cylinder lock on there, I mean, you'd have to have that off, obviously, and then just have the unit tagged. And then when the customer moves in, they put their lock on the unit. There's other ways, too. There's probably like a handle on the doors. There's many different ways that you can mark your unavailable unit. If that's what he's asking, I'm kind of like unsure of how he's wording this, because why would he have a cylinder lock on the door? Because all door handles have a latch for the lock, so no matter where you stick the tag, it doesn't matter what kind of locks you really have.
And also, to be clear, the kiosk dispenses cylinder locks as well as padlocks and disc locks and all those. So.
Okay, great. If a tenant is blocked from writing checks, how do you keep them from giving a check to the kiosk?
There's no way to, at this point, to blacklist a customer from a payment method. And so if a customer is not allowed to write you a check, then basically we don't have a way to do that. We've talked about it. I think there is kind of I'll call it some kind of restrictions that some of the property management systems support. So I guess now not only has the panel given me some more work to do, our audience has given us a new feature enhancement that I need to track, and that would be tracking restrictions for tenants. You can limit what types of methods that you make a payment with, check, cash, or credit card, based upon how many days a customer is delinquent. So if someone goes past, let's say, 10 days delinquent, you could limit the fact of letting them write a check. Past 30 days, let's say you got them in lien status, you could limit them from making any kind of payment at the kiosk, ever if you'd like. So there's those kind of capabilities. There's not currently a way to limit one specific customer from using one specific type of payment. But I do have that down as an enhancement.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time here. One note, well, there's a lot of questions we aren't going to get to, and certainly Robert and his team will respond to those after the webinar has concluded. We did have someone that sent in a comment stating that their smallest facility using a kiosk is 59 units.
Oh, geez. I apologize. So there's someone that's okay. Great. Great.
Very good. Thank you to everyone. Great webinar. Lots of good information. We'd like to thank everyone who attended today, and we certainly hope we've provided you with some helpful information about kiosks in the self-storage industry. You will be receiving an email within the next few days. It will give you a link to the archived presentation, so make sure that you watch your inbox for this email. And if you are interested in signing up for any of our future webinars or viewing any of our past webinars, several of them from OpenTech, please visit our website at ministoragemessenger.com. Click on webinars on the left-hand side, and you'll be able to either register or sign up for past webinars. Thank you again for attending, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Poppy, I just wanted to thank the panel for taking their time to share their ideas and experiences with us as well.
Absolutely. We thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.